What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is me, Jelly the Casual Card Gamer, and today I wanted to finally announce the beginning of a new series on the channel called From Bottom to the Top Deck, and it'll be a vlog type series. I'm not really well versed in the way of making vlogs, but hopefully this will help me do that, and I hope that you guys enjoy the series. But anyway, if you guys are wondering what it is, it will be a sort of journey through Vanguard. As you guys probably have heard from me mentioning it before, I've been playing Vanguard since 2013, and I have had a lot of really fun times associated with the game. I've made tons of friends. Some of my best friends now are friends that I met through Cardfight Vanguard, and I wanted to share the experience with the one person that I share my life with, of course, my wife. And I have tried to teach her how to play Vanguard before, but it was never really to the point where she was able to actually play by herself, and that's what brought about this series. The way that this is going to work is that each episode will be a recap of the week, and each week will be a different sort of facet of the game. So of course we'll start with what the basic rules are, then moving into choosing a clan, and then how to build a deck. And then after those parts are done, sort of the intrapersonal part of the game is down pat, we'll move into the interactions with other players. So first it will be games against me. So every week we'll play a minimum of 3 games, and once Yet is able to beat me 3 times in a row, we'll move on to the final phase of this whole series, which is trying to win a tournament. After the tournament is over, Yet will have needed to have won. That is a mouthful. Basically, Yet needs to win the tournament, and once she is able to do that, the series is over. But if she isn't able to beat them, as well as even the step before that, if she isn't able to beat me 3 times in a row, we'll have to keep repeating that cycle until she is able to do so. This is just a way for me to get Yet into the game, because when you are with people that you spend so much time with, you just want to be able to have anything on the go to be able to play around. And yeah, it's just a really fun experience, and I hope that I can translate that over to her. She hasn't played very many card games in her life, so she is sort of blind walking into this. I'm really hoping that this works, and it took me a really long time for her to say yes to do this. So let's just get straight over to the room, and we'll be able to get her opening thoughts on how this is gonna go. Hello. Are you ready to learn how to play Vanguard? I know. It's almost midnight. This probably isn't the best time to teach somebody how to play a card game in the middle of the night, but we did promise that we would do it today, so we're starting today. Today will only be the rules, and then doing the what clan are you? What clan should you play? It shouldn't take that long, don't worry. Okay? Anyway, how are you feeling before stepping into this whole shebang?
Very positive.
Very positive? Why?
I'm gonna win.
You're gonna win? Are you sure?
Because
Okay.
you lost all the games you played.
Yeah, because I was teaching you how to play. So let's see.
Excuses.
So anyway, we're gonna see how this goes. We're gonna head over to the table. Ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's get to the table. Okay, so first things first, what you need to know is that in most decks there are 2 types of units. Okay, so we have our black border or black bottom units, and these are called normal units. So these are the units that you attack with, that you use on your field, so on and so forth. These are the main units of your deck. So your normal units go from grade 1, 0, grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. The main objective in the early game is to make sure that you're able to get to grade 3 without missing a turn. So basically, when you start off with your hand, you want to have at least a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3. Your starting Vanguard will always be a grade 0, and we always have this ability. When rode upon, you draw a card. Newer starting Vanguards will actually have this on the card, but all starting Vanguards have the ability that when you go second and you go from grade 0 to grade 1, which is called riding, you get a card called a Quick Shield. Basically, this is from outside of your main deck, and you add it to your hand. Its main ability is a defensive one, which is why it's called a Quick Shield. But I'll get into what these do later on. There are 4 to 5 different grades in the game, and that is grade 0, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and some decks, not all decks, have grade 4s. Now, each grade has what we call a grade ability, and you'll be able to tell what that grade ability is from the little icon under the grade number. So grade 0s and grade 1s are able to boost, which is why it has a little arrow pointing up, which means that they are able to contribute their power to a unit that is in front of it. So you'll give 8,000 to the 9,000, so that would become a 17,000 attack, and that would go to whatever target you want. Next, we have grade 2 abilities, which is intercepting. Most of the time when you guard, it will be from your hand. But grade 2s have the innate ability to intercept, which means if they are in your front row, for example, if this is your Vanguard and this is one of your rear guards, you'll be able to move this unit to guard your Vanguard or maybe another unit that you want to keep on the field. Of course, though, when it does intercept, after the battle happens, it goes to your drop zone. And now grade 3s, now the reason why you want to get to grade 3 is not only do they have some of the best abilities in your deck, but they also have the ability called Twin Drive, which is something that I will get into once we get into how a turn goes. The next type of cards that we have are triggers. In this format, which is called V Premium now, there are typically 3 types of triggers that are available to all clans, and specific clans will have a 4th type of trigger. These are what give you extra power in battle. So there are 3 types of triggers in this deck specifically, and those are critical triggers, as you can see here, draw triggers, as you can see in that symbol, and heal triggers, which you can see in that little icon there. Now, all triggers are able to give 2 effects on trigger. Draw triggers, from the name, let you draw an extra card from your deck. Critical triggers add damage to whatever unit you give them to. Well, most normal units nowadays have a starting critical value of 1, which means that if you were to attack a Vanguard, it would do 1 damage if the attack were to go through. Now, if you get a critical trigger, that means you can add this 1 critical to this unit, which means it would give 2 damage instead of only 1. And heal triggers allow you to heal a point of damage from your damage zone, which is what I will get into in a bit, but only if a certain condition is met. And then the 4th type of trigger, front trigger. Now the front triggers are purple, and their ability is to give plus 10,000 to all the units in your front row. Let's go into how the game of Vanguard works. So every game you will start with 5 cards in your hand. It's okay. So you'll always start with 5 cards in your hand, and when you do draw your cards, you want to make sure that you have at least a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3. And then everything else depends on how your deck plays and what you want in your hand. Now generally, triggers are kind of your wild card effects that happen when you attack or when you're taking damage. So you don't want them in your hand in the beginning because you lose the chance of being able to get full value out of them. So if you do get any triggers, you can do what we call a mulligan. And the way that you mulligan in Vanguard is you take the cards that you don't want, you put them at the bottom of your deck.
Only in the beginning of the game.
Yes, only at the very beginning. So you put them at the bottom of your deck, and then you draw the same amount that you put back. We got draw triggers, but at least it wasn't a critical trigger and it wasn't a heal trigger, because those are a little more important when it comes to pushing your opponent to the edge.
What if you pick the same card again? Can you?
No, you can only do mulligan once. And then once you've redrawn, you reshuffle your deck. Now the way Vanguard plays is you and your opponent
take turns going back and forth and trying to get each other to 6 damage. Okay, so the beginning of your turn will always start with restanding any units that are rested, but since it's the first turn, everything is already standing, and then you draw a card. Once you have drawn your card, you go into your ride phase, which is going from your current grade to the next grade up. Now, this is why having one of each grade is important, because you don't want to rely on trying to get the top card of your deck to get you to the next part or to the next grade, because getting grade stuck can lead to complications for you in the game because your opponent can get ahead of you. So going from grade 0, we can ride a grade 1. I'm not gonna do any abilities for now, just so I can show you how a turn works. So once we are done with the ride phase, we go into the main phase. So the main phase is where you're able to call units. So putting a card in your Vanguard circle is called riding, and then putting units in circles that are here, this is called calling. So you call your friends to come and help you. Now, the only restriction that is on calling units is that they can only be the same or lower grade than your Vanguard. So at grade 1, you're only allowed to call grade 1s and grade 0. Now, generally, you want to keep triggers in your hand because they are used for defending. Here, you can see the shield value or the defensive value of the triggers compared to a grade 1, which is only 10,000, and compared to a grade 2 that is only 5,000, and compared to a grade 3, which has no shield value at all. Depending on whether or not you went first, a couple of things happen. So if you go first, normally you ride, then your starting Vanguard's ability is to always let you draw a card. That's not very good, but after that, if you went first, that's kind of the end of your turn. But if you went second, you get to draw a card, and then you also get a quick shield, and you can add that to your hand. Okay, so you get a lot of cards.
What if you what?
If you went second. The perk of going second is that you are allowed to attack first. If you go first, you're not allowed to attack because your opponent hasn't had a turn yet. It's kind of unfair to let them do that. Once you are done calling your units, so I'm just going to, for example's sake, I'm going to call these 2 triggers to the field.
How many can
here.
you put?
You can put as many as you want per turn, as long as they are
6
lesser.
only?
Yes, as long as they are lesser or equal to your Vanguard in grade. You start with 6, but in some cases you can go higher.
What do you mean some cases?
In some cases. Some decks let you have more than 6, and this is one of those decks. So when you attack, all you have to do is turn your unit and then choose one of your opponent's units to attack. And then all they have to do is say no guard, or they'll guard with cards from their hand. Now, you're allowed to guard with any cards in your hand. Even if you are only grade 1, you can use a grade 2 to guard, you can use a grade 3 to guard, even though it doesn't have any shield value, or you can also use grade 0s.
But we don't want to do that, right? Because those number 2 and 3 are guard.
No, these are used
for riding.
Yes. Yes, that is correct.
So we don't want to use that for guarding.
In some cases, you might have to, especially if you're close to losing and that's all that you have in your hand. Then you have to, right? It's better than taking a damage and then losing, right? But it all depends on the situation that you're in.
And then I do this if I want to attack?
Yes. With a rear guard attack, that's all that happens. If there's a booster here, you would boost and then attack. So it would be 5,000 plus 5,000, and then you would choose your target. And then your Vanguard is allowed to attack after that. So you attack. Now, this is where these triggers come in very handy, because what happens is when your Vanguard attacks, you're allowed to drive check. Drive checking is specific to the Vanguard unless your cards have abilities that let them drive check from a rear guard circle. So a drive check is revealing the top card of your deck and then activating the effects of whatever you revealed. So I revealed a draw trigger, and like I said earlier, you are able to put plus 10,000 power, and since this is a draw trigger, you can draw an extra card. So all triggers will give 10,000 power, so I would give that to my Vanguard here. So we would go from 8,000 to 18,000. This would go to my hand, and then since it was a draw trigger, I would draw a card and then add that to my hand as well. But this one, you don't have to reveal. Moving on to our imaginary opponent's turn.
Wait.
Yes.
Again.
Okay. From where?
The Vanguard attack will reveal the top card of your deck. And then
activate any trigger effects. And then once you can't attack anymore, that's kind of the end of your turn. Now, moving on to the imaginary opponent's turn, I'll just put a card over here just for a little visual representation. So for example, I used this grade 2 Vanguard to attack your grade 1 Vanguard. There are 2 things that you can do. You can either take 1 damage, or you can guard with something from your hand. So if you were to guard, for example, with this quick shield, that would get you up to 13, because the quick shield's ability is to give one of your units plus 5,000 until the end of the battle that is going on.
You can only use that once.
Yes. So after you use it, it will go to your drop zone as well. Okay, so in this case, we're going to guard, and I'm going to drive check with this. So if I get a trigger, for example, so this is a front trigger. So it would give all of my front row units plus 10,000 power. I would go from 9,000 to 19,000 because of the front trigger, which means that the attack would go through. If the attack goes through, on a Vanguard, you would perform a damage check. Damage check is the exact same thing as a trigger check, except instead of the card going to your hand, it would go to your damage zone. So you would reveal the top card of your deck, and this, if it's a trigger, it would activate as well. So since this is a heal trigger, you would be able to give any of your units plus 10,000 power. So if you wanted to make sure that your Vanguard is harder to hit, then you can give the plus 10,000 to your Vanguard. If you wanted to give it to an important rear guard that you are scared that your opponent might attack, then you can that unit as well. And then this would go to your damage zone on the side here. Now, taking damage in the beginning, sounds kind of weird. Why would I want to get closer to losing, right? But there are certain abilities that require you to have damage in your damage zone to activate. If I attacked you with this card and you placed down a quick shield and I, for example, drove check a non-trigger, nothing would happen. This would go to your drop zone and then you wouldn't take any damage here.
How many damage check?
1 per critical. So for example, if I attacked you and then I drove checked a critical, instead of only 1, it would do a second damage as well. If I had a critical, yes.
Damage check, you draw 2 cards.
No, depending on how many criticals the unit has attacking you. So, like I said, all units start with 1. And then if you get critical triggers while you're drive checking during your attacks, then that number can go up. And then there are also other cards in the game that can give themselves an extra critical. Once it's your turn again, you stand all of your units and you draw another card. And then what comes next? After you draw, it is your...
After I draw, it's my turn to attack.
But what do you have to do first? So
You put the thing here.
Yes,
Make it
you-
grade 2.
yes, so you ride.
You ride.
Once you hit grade 2, you can start calling grade 2s to the field, but as you can see from this hand, there are no grade 2s. So grade 2 turns are the exact same, are almost the exact same as grade 1 turns, except you start to have damage and you can have more substantial things on the field. So we're just going to go through this again. We would boost an attack, and then our Vanguard will attack. What happens when the Vanguard attacks?
I drive check
Yes. So the drive check is
and review.
the top card. Okay. So
Activate
since it's
effect down.
yes, but if it is not a trigger unit, then nothing happens. Okay. So this would just go to your hand. And then your opponent does their turn. They'll attack you. You can guard or not guard. You'll
So it will not go through if I didn't get any trigger cards.
It depends on how big your Vanguard is compared to what you're attacking.
Of
So,
course, I will attack the lower one.
but your opponent can also guard. So that changes the
Ah.
values, right? So you have to be, a little strategic with when you're attacking and what you're attacking. Now, we'll go into our grade 3 turn. Now, the grade 3 turn is probably the most important thing because this is kind of what starts to set the tone of your game. So we restand, we draw, and then,
Right.
yes. So we are going to ride the main grade 3 of this deck, Asura Kaiser. Most grade 3s, not all of them, have what we call an imaginary gift. Now, this is what gives certain decks more circles to play with. We can tell what imaginary gift it gives by this symbol here. So the ACCEL symbol. There are 3 types of symbols in this game. There are ACCEL symbols, there are force symbols, and there are heal symbols.
Come
Now,
again?
there are ACCEL,
What's that?
ACCEL, ACCEL. There are force symbols, and there are protect symbols. So all of these
Before there's no
are-
such thing like that. What
yeah,
the
because
heck?
this is a different format.
No.
So this
Gonna
is
lose now.
no. So this is the imaginary gift system. Force decks tend to have just huge numbers, but fewer attacks. ACCEL decks are our blitz decks, or our multiple attack decks. Most of the time, you can get a ton of attacks out of ACCEL decks. And protect decks, from the name, are very defensive, and their imaginary gifts give you more things to guard with, or makes it easier for you to guard. When we activate an imaginary gift, we can choose from one of 2 per category. So each imaginary gift has a version 1 and a version 2. So ACCEL will always give you another front row rear guard circle. So instead of only having 3 circles to play with, you'll be able to have 4.
I know ACCEL give
Extra rear guard circles. Depending on which ACCEL you choose, there's ACCEL 1 and there's ACCEL 2, there are different bonuses. So
But
if you
that's
choose...
one.
Yeah, if you choose ACCEL 1, whatever unit you put here gets plus 10,000 power automatically during your turn. And ACCEL 2 is the horizontal version. You can draw a card. Now, the difference between ACCEL 1 and ACCEL 2, besides drawing the card, is that the unit that you place here, instead of getting plus 10, will only get plus 5,000. So it's either you get bigger numbers per circle, or smaller numbers, but you get extra cards. When you start using either or, you can only use that form for the rest of the game. So if you choose ACCEL 1, then all of your other ACCEL circles are going to be stuck in ACCEL 1. Same thing for ACCEL 2.
So what do you put there?
You can put other rear guards, more rear guards. So these are more circles that you can attack with.
What if it died?
If it dies, then the unit dies, but the circle stays. So force is a lot more straightforward. When you get a grade 3 that has a force marker, you get a force imaginary gift. You don't get any extra circles, but you get to boost on what you already have on your field. For example, if this was a force grade 3, I would play it, and then I would get a force marker. Some people like to put it on their vanguard. Some people like to put it on their rear guard circle. Okay, depends on the deck as well. But Force 1 will give plus 10,000 power to any unit that is on that circle. And Force 2, instead of giving plus 10,000, will give you an extra critical to that unit. So that unit will be swinging for 2 damage every time it attacks. And same with the ACCEL circles. Even if the unit that is on here dies, it stays there, and you can put another unit, and that ability is still active.
Is there a card that lets you remove this?
Yes. There's one specific deck, I believe, that lets you remove these.
How many cards like this do you get? Only one?
No, you can get, as long as you keep writing grade 3s that have the symbol, you'll keep getting them. And then there are also other cards in the game that let you get like 2 at a time. Some, not all. Those are really fun to play though. Protect, I don't have any on me right now, but Protect 1 will let you add a token to your hand that acts as what we call a perfect guard or a sentinel, which means if your units are being attacked, you can use it as a guardian and then discard 1 card from your hand, and the attack that is happening is nullified. So you're safe for that attack. And then Protect 2 is a mix of Force 1 and Imaginary Gift ACCEL 2. You would put it on a rear guard circle. The unit that goes here will get plus 5,000 power when it's a rear guard and plus 10,000 shield when it guards. So like I said earlier, right, when you have a grade 2 in the front row and you're being attacked, you can use it as a guardian. And this will go up by 10,000 when you use a Protect 2.
So plus 10,000 shield when used as a guard.
Yes. But again, only grade 2s will be able to.
Only grade 2.
Okay.
What about the intercept that you said that's fake news?
No, that's what I'm talking about. So grade
Oh.
2s will be the ones to do that.
Wait, so 5,000 power if rear guard?
And then 10,000 shield when you use it as a guardian.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you have your imaginary gift, boom, like that.
Can you draw the like this?
Which one?
Like this one if you add the circle.
Okay. So basically, your field goes from, let's just have it as something like this. So this is your vanguard. These are your rear guards. The default thing is to just keep putting more. It's just like that. You would put them here, but yeah, just for visuals. But in reality, it's kind of just like adding circles here. And it only adds to the front row, so you wouldn't be able to have like a back row ACCEL circle. Okay, so you get more lanes that you can attack with.
I thought here.
No. And now you can start to put grade 3s on these circles. One thing that you can always do, let's say that you have this field and your opponent never attacked this lane because you don't really want to waste an attack on a trigger in the front row, right? Because it don't really do anything. What you can do is what we call calling over, which means you would take a unit, place it on top of another unit, and then this would go to the drop zone.
When can you do that?
Anytime you want, during the main phase.
If I got these 3 already.
Even if you're grade 2, but again, it has to be the same grade as your Vanguard or lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, if I'm at grade 2, I can take another grade 0 and just put that like that. It doesn't, yeah, it doesn't matter.
If you want to change.
Yeah, as long as you want to
What's
change
that
the units.
called?
Calling over.
Calling over.
Yeah, so you just replace stuff. Okay? The only difference with grade 3s at this point is when they attack as a Vanguard, they activate what we call a twin drive. What do you think that means?
I drive check twice.
Yeah, that is correct. So instead of only showing 1, you would show 1 and 2
When does that happen?
when your Vanguard attacks.
When my Vanguard attacks.
Yes, during the battle phase.
When do you twin drive?
When your Vanguard attacks,
And what's drive check?
revealing the top card.
Do you still have to do that before the twin drive?
No, that is your drive check. So basically what you can call it is a twin drive check. So it's 2 drive checks. So if you're only a grade 1, grade 2, grade 0, you can only do it once. If you're a grade 3, you can do it, you do it twice. 1, 2, instead of only 1. Okay.
So drive check if 0, 1, 2.
Is only
Twin-
once, yes.
Twin drive if grade 3.
And then, again, you keep going until somebody hits 6 damage. And once they hit 6 damage, the game is over. Now this is where I'll start talking about heal triggers. What do you think the heal does?
-1 here.
Yes, but it only activates if you have equal to or more damage than your opponent. For example, if you're at 5 damage and you have to take it and you get a heal trigger, you can heal 1 damage from your damage zone, goes to your drop zone, and then you're still in the game. If, for example, you only have 1 damage and then you damage check a heal trigger, but your opponent has, let's say, 3, then it just goes there and you don't get to heal. But if you're both at 1 and then you get this, then it heals. So again, equal to or more damage than your opponent, you can heal a damage. And that is it for basic turns. Okay. So this is the test. It's from Pro Profs. I've taken this test maybe 3 times, and all 3 times, even though I chose not 100% the same answers, maybe like 70%, it always gave me Nova Grappler. And that is my favorite clan. Probably, yeah, one of my favorite clans. So I'd say that this is pretty accurate. I'm pretty confident in its ability to make you with a clan. So let's get into it. Okay, whenever you're ready, you can hit start.
What core ideal do you most favor? I don't understand. I don't understand any of this. What core ideal do you most favor? What is
So
that?
basically, like, what do you want your deck to do?
Can I choose more than one?
No,
Oh
just
no. High option, changing or mixing tactics. This one, so that I'm unpredictable. What overall play style do you most prefer? Technical mix. This one. What does your budget look like? Huh? Budget for what?
like building a deck. Like if you're going to build a deck, how much are you willing to spend? I mean, for this you can just put money is no concern since we have a lot of the cards anyway.
What do you most want to get out of Vanguard? This one.
It's such a sadistic answer.
Oh no, because this is gonna be based on my
Yeah, this will kind of give you an idea of what deck you're going to go
to mess with my opponent. But if I choose this, then it's gonna be one of your cards that does so much things. But
Yeah.
in the end, he still lost. This one?
To wreck things with big skills or onslaughts. If I were you, I'd just stick with the first one.
The what?
If I were you, I'd just stick with the first one.
Challenge? No.
I mean, the one that you first chose.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, to mess with my... So mean.
Which of the following aesthetics do you find the most pleasing? What's this?
Anthropomorphic.
Let's search. Can I search? Relating to having human. Tao. Tao is a person. What's this? Tonkatsu?
Tokusatsu or mecha. So like machines. Yeah, mechas and stuff like that.
That's this one, cyber. Mythology, dinosaur, pirate, cute, oceanic. I don't know.
You have to choose one.
This one?
Which one?
Mythology.
Okay.
So gods and goddesses, right?
Yeah, stuff like that.
I wanna choose this because it's
So-
tonkatsu.
You could if you wanted to.
No, I don't want machines.
Okay.
Is this the deck that I'm gonna use all over the game? I mean, until the end, till the
I mean,
tournament.
if you don't like the result, then you can go back and take it again.
Oh, what about you? Are you gonna using just one deck?
Yeah. But I already kind
What's yours?
of.
What's yours?
Mine is the one that we did the what do you call it? The
For the
demonstrations with, yeah.
What's that?
Nova grapplers. So that's mostly like futuristic, cyber, tonkatsu, or mecha. But you don't have to choose the same one.
Let's do this one
Oceanic.
because I love beach. Is generating card advantage a major? Anong card advantage?
So card advantage is like you're able to get more cards than your opponent, or you're able to like make your opponent waste cards.
Make my opponent waste cards?
Yeah. So like with guarding, with trying to
I don't know.
stay alive and stuff like that. Somewhat a concern, yeah.
Consistency. What does that mean?
How often is your deck able to perform its main plays?
Which of the following describes how you prefer to play any given deck, huh? Save up for a big explosion, make lots of small plays that add up over time. However, it needs to be played to win. What would you choose?
I like making small plays.
Yeah, I know.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
You play like that, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Let's counter that. I will do this one.
You're giving like the PR answers. It's just like
Number of builds in a clan important to you.
So
Do you want to invest in a clan by making all of its clan?
So the clan, yeah, like so basically a clan will have a specific aesthetic, and then its builds have different ways of playing. So the more builds a certain clan has, the more variety of deck that you're able to build or choose from.
What would you say you most dislike in trading card games? This is not Vanguard, that's Yu-Gi-Oh!
You don't have to mention it. Okay.
What would you say you most dislike? Cards or decks that are annoying, cards or decks that are too complicated, being screwed over by my own deck, opponents setting up against me easily, the element of random chance. All of the above.
You have to choose one. Which is the most?
This one, based on experience.
Okay. Next. Are you sure?
No, this one.
Okay.
Which of the following deck weaknesses is least acceptable? Now that's Vanguard. Abuse of flow, not having a hard advantage engine, bad match up to field.
Destruction. So basically, when your deck is weak against other decks that are able to destroy your rear guards.
Lack of support, bad field, bad ride, chance reliant, lackluster. Ano to?
Lackluster game enders are basically like, oh, I won. Instead of like, yeah, I won. You know.
What's this
Like-
again? Deck weaknesses is least acceptable.
Yeah, so what is the one thing you will not allow?
Oh, I allow this one because I always win the game like this with you. I'd be like, oh, that's it? Self-deck out easily. Main setup being easily countered in game. This one. Which of the following statements would you most agree with? Options lead to victory. Less moving parts means less room for error. This one. Which of these is most important to you? Defensive, starting, high-powered, critical, extra consistent, small combination, or multiple? What would you choose?
I
You
go,
did
I
not
go with
take
a
this
small
test?
combination or a multiple.
You did not take this test?
I have taken the test, and it gives me the one clan that I use the most. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. This one.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, this is it.
That's the last question.
I'm not sure about my answers.
You can always do it again. Ooh.
Who is this one?
Narukami. So Narukami, basically, you blow up your opponent's field. You get big when you do that, and it's lightning dragons.
Dragon?
Yeah, you don't like it?
It's okay. I'll
It's
try.
okay. Okay.
Expensive in price. Reducing opponent's options or number of attacks to reduce the guard you expend. Who's this? Kagero.
Kagero is almost the same thing, except instead of lightning dragons, it's fire dragons.
You have both?
Yes.
So far we've done turn structure, what cards do, types of abilities, and what clan are you. So far, how do you feel?
I don't know. I don't know if I can do this.
2 hours ago you were like, but do you how's it feeling in terms of like difficulty, like gauge it from 1 to 10?
Well, I played it before, but it wasn't this complicated.
It wasn't that complicated because I was showing you how to do things.
No, because I think there were extra things.
Hmm.
Because you said we were playing at the beginner level, right?
Oh yeah. We didn't really activate abilities and stuff like
Yeah.
that, so it's a bit different. But now that you have like kind of like a full view of at least how turns work and how abilities activate, feeling a little overwhelmed.
But I can see how fun the game is. But
It's just difficult.
yes.
Yeah, of course, it's always difficult at first, right? I mean, like I've never really had an issue learning how to play card games because I've been playing card games my whole life.
The only
So-
card games that I played is Uno or Solitaire.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh before, but I don't really know what I was doing.
Okay. And with the rules and stuff out of the way, we have the clan quiz. And you took it 3 times. You got Narukami the first time. We got our good old Thunder Dragon boys. And you got Oracle Think Tank twice. So what do you feel? Because you said there's a bit of a
I think
disliking to Oracle Think Tank.
Yeah, because it says it requires focus.
And
And I don't have that. So we're going with the first one. Because I think the first quiz that I took was, the answers.
we're the
that-
most
yeah.
most truthful.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't need to focus as much when playing Narukami, but it still does require a certain amount of focus because it's very position dependent. So that's one thing that you'll have to look out for when building your deck, and also when you start playing against me and then subsequently the rest of the gang for the Discord tournament.
Get ready.
So now that you have sort of an idea of what clan you're going to use, how are you feeling? The excitement level, stress and nervousness level, where is it right now?
Yeah, the last one you said.
Which one?
Is stress.
It's stressed. What? You have to get through me first.
Wow.
I'm not just gonna throw you into the sharks right away. I'm going to see if you can.
Can I have my notes with me during the games?
Yeah, of course. But of course, before we get into the games, we have to learn how to build a deck, and that will be the next step. Yeah, I'm not going to build a deck for you.
Deck for me.
No. At least if I build a deck for you, you won't be able to understand what the cards do.
No.
So it's
you should-
better.
You should build the deck for me because I agreed to do this video.
No.
Right?
No. No, because if you build the deck, you'll have a better understanding of what the cards do, and it will feel more suited to how you want to play the game. And
Do I
then-
get like a certificate of completion?
Yeah, I'll make one. I'll get it signed by the CEO of Bushy Road too, just to make sure. it's
CEO
legit.
of what?
Bushy Road.
What's
the,
Bushy Road?
the company that makes Vanguard.
Okay, shout out to Bushy Road.
It'll be fun to do that because you'll understand what the cards do. You'll be able to think of combos
How
and things
many
like that.
cards are there in one deck?
So that's one thing that we'll be going over. A Vanguard deck consists of 50 cards. There are certain ratios that you should follow, limitations that you have to adhere to, as well as ban lists. You want to be able to know how to build a deck so that you can have a cohesive game plan throughout each of your matches. Yeah, after that, it'll be games against me, the gatekeeper, and then after you beat the gatekeeper, it's on to the big boys in the tournament. So that'll be I'm excited for that. To Docs, Terrio, Vanguard Wonder.
JC, what about JC?
No, JC's not good. I don't know if JC's gonna be part of this. I'll
Shout out
see.
to JC.
I'll see if he can. I'll see if he wants to join. But also to Outer Orange, I'm so sorry. I didn't think she'd be talking this much smack before she even had a deck built. But yeah, I'm excited to finally get to the games. It'll be a bit. I don't know how long it'll take to get a deck rolling, but we can start playing games once you have a deck built, and then you can edit once we get a better feel of how you want your deck to play. And do you have anything left to say to the viewers?
Yes.
What?
You better watch out. You better not cry. I'm just joking.
You're gonna get smashed. Oh my god. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of From the Bottom to the Top deck. I hope that you guys enjoy this series and find it a little bit informative too. If you guys have any friends that you want to get into the game as well, hopefully my rambling and incoherent explanations make a little sense to them. If you get them to watch this, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe. Leave your comments and suggestions down below for future and current content, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of this series. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. Stayed up a lot later than I thought we were going to, and we had 1, 2, 3 camera batteries die on us during the filming of this, so I don't know how this is gonna end up, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next one. I am Jelly the Casual Card Gamer. This is Yet the Super Casual Card Gamer, and we will see you
I'm
guys
the casual card fan of the casual card gamer.
in the next one.